team, or perhaps from Elon Musk himself, on what he was doing in that phone call. But I want to bring in my guest now, political strategist Rina Shah, who has been following all of the latest action as well. And Rina, we've been talking about possible cabinet picks, and I know right now everyone is wondering who's going to get what post. Who do you think will have the most important post beyond Susie Wiles, of course, the chief of staff?
Well, Sumi, it's really anyone's guess as to who will be more outsized in influence than the White House chief of staff. Traditionally, that role has always been not just seen as a gatekeeper, but really the person with the president's ear, the person who's not just keeping the trains running. It is a multifaceted job. And I'm not surprised that he tapped Susie for it, because she really showed that she's capable of withstanding the pressures of a campaign that was very ahistorical. But going a step further, there are people in the immediate ring of Trump's universe, not just his family, that are really important to him. You know, Elon Musk has become extremely important to him over the past many months. And we have to wonder how many people will actually go in and perhaps take a role such as a special advisor to a president, so not a distinct function particularly, or will somebody stay on the outside? Somebody like a former counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, who went in 2016 and was previously involved with that first bid of his for the White House. But she has notoriously stayed kind of out of the public eye this time and not chosen to join the campaign. These people are still very relevant and important to Trump, but what I'm really trying to illustrate here is how different this time is, because there are so many people that seem to be important to the president, but they all don't have to go into the White House this time, and that seems to be known by President Trump himself this time.
Yeah, that's a really important point, as certainly as Susie Wiles is trying to run a tighter ship this time around. Can you give us a sense of what a transition team does, what this work is from now until when Donald Trump enters the White House again?
Well, the number one thing that a transition team does truly is ensure the sort of continuity of governance. And in essence, they hold a hand with the previous administration really well. You know, there were many people, of course, Sumi, who were looking for a different outcome this time. Had Kamala Harris won and were she to become the 47th president, it would have been the first time in 36 years we would have seen a transition within the same party. But here we are again in a historical moment. We know that President Trump did not attend Joe Biden's inauguration. To sit there on the rostrum and watch the next president take the oath of office is something he chose not to do, breaking with tradition. So we can also assume that he really doesn't want much to do with this Biden-Harris administration. The orders would really come from the top that, hey, maybe play enough, but don't play nice. And in general, what you can expect is a sincere sense of, hey, we want to make sure that anything that needs to happen to keep America safe happens. But then there's a number of administrative functions that the average person doesn't quite need to know about, that range from cabinet assembly to sort of agency continuity, the agency heads I'm talking about. It's all kind of inside the weeds. But the number one takeaway for our international audience to know is that truly there's never a lapse in who's governing. There's never a lapse at somebody at the executive branch wheel.
And Reno, once, of course, they have that team in place, they'll hit the ground running. We have heard various comments on what the first priorities will be, from shutting down the border and deporting immigrants to raising tariffs. I mean, what is your sense of what we will see Donald Trump tackle first?
In general, I believe that President-elect Trump will attempt to have both a robust domestic and internationally focused agenda at the same time. You know, presidents can do those things. They can walk and chew gum at the same time because they are flanked by hundreds of people who literally help them get these things done. A domestic policy council is really important, but we also have heard as American people what this administration plans to do, and so much of it feels very dark and very heavy and very divisive, mass deportations being one of them. But my gut, as a political strategist who has watched Trump now for nearly a decade and really got a gut sense of how he operates psychologically, he needs a real win, Sumi, in this first 1 month, not just the first year. This is our country's oldest president going in. He's been looking a little bit physically tired to me at times. And some of what he said to me also indicates that he's actually okay with allowing for different people around him to be guides this time, more so than
Right.
he was the first time. And that prime of those people would be his vice president elect, JD Vance, the
Okay.
former
Yeah.
Ohio senator. And so we need to be really careful here in how we talk about what he's told us on the campaign trail and what we start to hear they want to
Right.
do on day one. But this is my real takeaway for everybody. Expect him to try to
It's
get a win, I believe, on Ukraine and Russia in the first
yeah.
month.
Okay, Rena, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much as always, Rena.